Greetings, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for joining us as we discuss climate change. When we have the issue of Mother Earth, it's a very challenging situation that we're living in today. My name is Tašúnka akán Wičácte. You can stick with Jimmy. That's my American name. But this is a situation that we are in crisis now when we think of Mother Earth. What are we going to do to protect Mother Earth? And what kind of footprints will you leave for the next generation? Is something that I often share and how I was taught, and what kind of impacts can you have for the future generations? So as an advocate, educator, and filmmaker, I get to tell these stories from an indigenous lens, which is wonderful. And to have that ability to live with and in balance with Mother Earth. And those are some of the philosophies that I was taught that I'm sharing with you today as an indigenous perspective of climate change, of the crisis and trauma that Mother Earth is going through right now. Will we listen? So again, as two-leggeds, as human beings, we are honored to be able to live with Mother Earth, our mom, our collective mother. We're all from the same family. When you think of the two-legged species and the winged and the four-legged, how will we live in balance with Mother Earth? Will we live in harmony, or will we extract too much from her? Those are the challenges that we face today. And what can we do regarding protecting our collective mother? Are we treating our mother with dignity and respect? When you think of all these challenges that we're facing with pollution and plastics and things of that nature that are working against Mother Earth instead of with. And that's a philosophy that we need to change. I'll introduce myself in the Lakota way. This is Tašúnka akán Wičácte, my great-great-great-grandfather. That's my name. I'm named after him. I love the name. Kills on horseback. I'm still trying to kill something on horseback. But that's something that I'm hoping to be able to represent my grandfather in a good way, being taught in that multi-generational philosophy that we must all share when we come to working with our mother, our collective mother, Mother Earth. My other grandfather, Stabber, he was with Red Cloud at the White House in 1872. He was able to represent the Oyate, our people, in a good way. So negotiating peace with President Grant, obviously it didn't go well. We continued war for 20 more years, but we are very proud of what he did to represent the people in a good way. So thank you, grandpas. Here's my parents when they got married. A happy day for them in 1962. Unfortunately, when they tried to rent that house, they were refused because of being Indian. So back in those days, there were still no Indians allowed signs in the stores and things of that nature. My mom tells the story of the first time when she was 8 years old, very excited to go to Rapid City, her first trip to the city. And the store windows were low at her level, and that's where she saw her first no Indians allowed sign. And she had the capacity to wonder, why am I not allowed in there? And her father said very eloquently, because they don't know us. I think 80 years later, they still don't know us. But it's improving because we're striving to take those steps to improve collectively. Here's me, little baby Huey. I'm a big baby, as you can see. I'm sure Grandpa Lou was saying, hey, hurry up, take the picture. He's heavy. You know, but Grandpa and Grandma Eva lived on Pine Ridge, so we'd visit. So I'd learn my language, learn the ceremonies, just learn who I am as an Oglala Lakota. Has anyone heard of Oglala Lakota? Yes, good. It's the Great Sioux Nation. Most of us know us by the Sioux Nation. Most tribes are renamed, and I'm Oglala Lakota of the Oceti Shakoi. So that's something I'm very proud of that I was taught. Why did I introduce myself in this way? The indigenous way, because it's multi-generational expectations. When you think of the 7th generation philosophy, it's 7 generations behind that we must represent, as well as 7 generations ahead. And how are we doing that with our choices today, with the footprints that we're making today, tomorrow, next year, next generation? So those are some of the things that we are challenged with. As a young person, I was living my dream as a professional athlete. The NFL stands for not for long. So that's a reality that I faced in terms of I had a short professional football career and then went into acting and stunt work as a dream that I had as a young man. But I knew there was something more. I got frustrated as an actor with the ignorance of the roles that we had to play in Indian country back in the 90s and, of course, before that. So we've all gone to John Wayne University, right? We've seen those movies. And unfortunately, many Americans only know us from that stereotype, from the media, from film, which I'm part of. So I retired from acting and stunt work because I just got tired of the ignorance of those roles that I had to play. It was wonderful to have that experience because as a football player, I could always look in the wheelchair section and see my dad. He was always there. And that's wonderful to have those memories, to have that ability to have that support from dad. Regardless of his situation, he was always going to be doing something. And he worked until retirement age. And he continued to do things with his wheelchair that most people could not. So I'm very proud of the powerful man he was. He's the strongest man I know. He just happened to use a wheelchair. Thank you, Pops. My mom is a survivor of U.S. Indian boarding schools. There's hundreds of these boarding schools throughout the nation back in those days. And she attended in the 40s. And the reality of these schools was to take the Indian out of the child. Kill the Indian, save the man was the moniker in many of these schools. So they were designed to eliminate the culture, the language, who they are. And my mom was so strong that she continued to learn her language and keep her language and her ways for the next generation, which is myself and my brother. So I'm very proud of Mom for what she did. Here's Oshkosh Indian Camp. Remember, no Indians allowed, so we had to live in a kind of a refugee camp on Rapid Creek. And that's where Mom grew up. And even though it's kind of a refugee shantytown type of thing with just tents and structures, she remembers it good. She has fond memories because it was all Lakota. She could hear her language. She could have that respect in terms of who you are as a Native person. You just can't go into town. That was an interesting dynamic that she had. So there she is in 1962 getting her RN degree because she continued to work and get that college degree. She wanted to know not only our traditional ways, but how America's working now. She had that curiosity of what can we do to make this world better? And that's what she's taught us in the next generation. So it's wonderful. She's still working now at 84 years old at South Dakota State University. She says, Jimmy, I flunked retirement. And that's awesome because she's still making footprints. She still has something to share as an elder, as an educator, as a knowledge keeper. So as my family has developed and grown, again, it's always connected to Mother Earth. Remember those 7 values? Those 7 values that have Mother Earth as part of that respect. And I'll share some more on that shortly. The 7th generation philosophy came from Black Elk, from my people, from the Oglala. The Great Sioux Nation is what America knows us as. But Black Elk knew after Wounded Knee it would take 7 generations to heal our circle, our sacred hoop. How do we heal from that experience? So when you think of the 2-leggeds, us as human beings, does Mother Earth need us or does she do better without us? The pandemic proved she does better without a lot of 2-leggeds dealing with her in a disrespectful way, not living in balance and harmony within the circle of Mother Earth. So Black Elk, it was wonderful that he was able to share this and teach not only us as Lakota, but the world with his philosophies. And how do we live in balance with all living things with our mother? Wounded Knee Massacre. Many people in America don't go to mass graves to visit family. I do. Is that traumatic for me? Of course it is. How do I handle that trauma? I try to manifest it in a good way and tell the stories from our perspective and teach and try to have more understanding of what happened to us. Now, the reality is now that we have the medicine wheel philosophy, this is a tool, a model that all of us can use. You're more than welcome to use this as well. But with this model, it has the 4 human elements of the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional. Often the elders say, do you know who you are? Where is your heart? That's identifying, do you have that knowledge? And it leads to those 7 values, the 7 directions, as well as the generations. If we can do this, we have balance through utilizing these value systems. And how can we do that? So it's a wonderful balance in terms of how can we live with our other brothers and sisters, including the 4-legged, the winged, the root nation, the water relatives, all of which are within Mother Earth, Iná Maka. So when we have the wisdom, courage, fortitude, and generosity, those are elements that we all share as human beings. We all have that maybe in a different format, but we share that as 2-leggeds. We have that innate element in our DNA to know who we are, to represent in a good way. Sometimes our technology and some of the modern perspectives are taken away from that indigenous knowledge. So when we have honoring up to the sky for the Creator, honoring down for Mother Earth, the footprints that we're leaving today, tomorrow, next year. Again, how will you identify those? And ultimately, the 7th value is humility, to live at the center of your circle, to be humble and to know that you still can learn. We all are learning throughout life. No matter how old we are as elders, we're knowledge keepers, but we're still learning. I like to call my gray hairs knowledge highlights, right? Because I'm earning that knowledge over the years as a grandpa. We all have, when we become a parent, our lens changes. When you become a grandparent, it really changes. Because we know we're closer to our ultimate journey. We will make that journey and leave. If I'm fortunate, I'm a grandpa now, I'll be around for my great-grandchildren. I'll be able to see 4 generations personally. But those next 3 generations, I'm still have a responsibility for, that I will never see. Do we think like that collectively? How can we utilize this knowledge to improve what we're doing today to live in harmony and balance with Mother Earth? Can we do that? So the star knowledge has been around for millennia. Many different groups. We have the Greek philosophy here. We have the Lakota philosophy there. And then I superimposed them on top of each other so you could see the similarities of the Lakota star knowledge and the Greek star knowledge, astrology. And these are something that we utilize because we're always watching and trying to learn from the stars, from other planets. Where do we fit in this bigger universe of this world? So we've been doing it forever. So with this indigenous knowledge, you can see it in our star systems. You can see it in our weather patterns. Our animals, the 4-leggeds, our water relatives, the fish, is ultimately all part of the DNA that we all share. And constant circular movement, constantly moving. That's why it's so important to make those footprints for those future generations. And this imagery is literally everywhere. When you think of the ancients, the indigenous people, not only of the Americas that we call now, but our Irish friends and when they were still tribal and had that connection to Mother Earth and the circular philosophy of living in balance, to give back versus extract, like we're doing today. So again, when you think of the knowledge and the constant evolving motion of Iná Macá, Mother Earth, these are elements that we need to live in balance with our water relatives, the root nation. That's our bugs, right? We're usually stepping on our bugs, but they're part of Mother Earth in terms of that balance, in terms of sharing pollination and seeds with our birds. You know, that's part of how Mother Earth needs to be in balance. So the 4-legged for my people is the Buffalo Nation in our country. So we were the Buffalo people in terms of they were part of our family. And they would give up their lives to give us that future. And we always had that ceremony for whatever we do. Again, same with us as children, as human beings, as we find ways to live in balance with Mother Earth. What can we do with our family, extended family, community, tribe? It takes a village, right? So again, how do we live with Mother Earth as our mothers? Do we teach our children to respect her, to do whatever we can to give back and not take away? And again, it's ultimately with our role as human beings in our DNA. We have that structure. So the Buffalo Nation will circle to protect when danger is around. We need to circle as a community right now because Mother Earth is in danger. How will we protect her in the center of that circle where we must be humble beings? So I took this picture of this young lady here in San Diego on American Indian Days downtown, and she was dancing hard and just intense. I was so impressed with her. That's 25 years ago. So what is her generational impact? Is she living a good life and being a mother as well, a life giver? So these are the resilience that we must live with. Mother Earth is resilient. She knows how to adjust when things are happening, but it's happening too fast. Collectively, we must hear her. She's screaming, and we're not listening. She will win, because we're not necessary on Mother Earth as two-legged. Only the others are necessary for our ecosystems. So again, what is the resilience? Wellness is generational. Will Mother Earth be well 7 generations ahead? What are we doing collectively to make that happen? When I have my films, I generally share what footprints will you leave for future generations? And that's very important, is what footprints can we leave for the future generations? Here's 2 children in a painting from Canada regarding the boarding schools and the unmarked graves they're finding there now, today. The Pope was there last year apologizing for their residential schools, they called them. So thousands of kids died at these schools, but they are not forgotten. We will remember them. And my takojas, my grandkids, are going to have a better life as a result of a collective effort to make change. You're now all change agents, 00, whatever you want to be. 007, 7th generation, James Bond must have been into this philosophy, right? But again, I want something better for those youngsters. And I want them to think generationally so they impact future generations. It's a challenge we all have with these young ones. What can we do to live in balance with our mother? What can we do to honor our mother in a good way from an indigenous perspective, which is shared for all of us? We were all tribal at one point. Things have changed and we've lost some of this philosophy. But again, we can make that change. We can make a difference. So go make your footprints. Lamia Washtelo. Thank you so much for your time today.